Tony, you had a question about the signings that have happened.
The signings that, well, you got one over the line fairly quickly with Harry Pell. And that's someone that Coleman had been, obviously looking at previously and got him signed real quick. How much are you involved in that? Is it just at the end or the okay part of it? Or what sort of your involvement when it comes to signings like Harry?
I mean, John and Jimmy and John root out the players that they want. So I don't, I'm not an expert on football, so they tell me who they want. Obviously, there's no deal done that John and I don't agree what the deal is in terms of finance, in terms of if there's a signing on fee or a transfer fee or anything like that. We agree at all. So I'm involved in every deal from that point of view. But in terms of who we get, down to John really, and John and Jimmy both identify him. I mean, Jimmy's liked Harry for years. He said it. He said it to me for years. He's liked Harry Pell. Speaking about Harry, I met him for half an hour when he came up to see club, and he's a dead nice guy. There's not a shadow of a doubt to be great for Accrington in my mind. And he's signed a contract and he's committed. He's moved up and bought an house up here, so he's fully committed to signing. He's going to be a great signing. I'm 100% certain of that. So I'm excited. It's good.
He's a pretty tall fella too, isn't he?
He is a big lad, and he's a bit, he's a bit of an handful. He's a strong lad, and he's a big lad, and he's, going to put a bit, plenty of punch in midfield. I think John and Jimmy, they're wanting to build a bigger, stronger side as we go forward. As you go further up leagues, they do get bigger and stronger. I think John and Jimmy are aware of that, and you look at our squad now, and it's a strong. It's a strong team physically, and there's a lot more height about it.
Well, certainly, I would expect that John and Jimmy and John are going to be working on set pieces, because with the height that's going to be in that box, I think that's going to be a source of a few goals this season. I think that's going to scare a lot of other teams when they see the height that's going to be parading around from Stanley. So, and one of the things I wanted to just ask and sort of touch on is that in the last couple of years, we've seen quality loan players coming in from bigger teams. Does that mean, like the other teams, like Chelsea, for example, with last year with Nathan Baxter, etc., that teams now are recognizing that what John and Jimmy and John can do for a player when it comes to play at Stanley?
I think so, and also that the players are going to play on good pitches, and the facilities are getting better, and and that's working in the academy as well. We're getting better players and better kids coming through that normally turn the nose up. So and they respect what John and Jimmy are doing and what they can do for these players. I mean, Nathan last year, again, that were another when he got fouled against Ipswich, that cost us dearly as well last season. And what a cracking lad he is. He's wanted by a lot of clubs now a year. So yeah, I've been talking to Burnley. We had Adam Phillips off Burnley, and when we're talking to him, it's a local club, and we get on well. And so there'll be some additions, but make no mistake about it. We want a big number of our own players and players that we can develop and hopefully maybe make a few shilling by selling them to higher level and helping them along the journey, and at the same time help club and keep increasing our playing budget and our academy quality. So, there'll be some.
I was just going to say it's a squad that really doesn't need a lot of additions to. You've got and that's one of the things that you brought to the table is the multi-year contracts where people. Where John's not having to rebuild the squad every season, and so there's not really a lot of tweaking to do as far as the starting lineup, is there, Andy?
Well, we don't think so. There's areas that we want to tweak, and there are tentative inquiries about a few players that we might have to, if a deal came along that were too good to refuse. John might say, look, let's go for that, and we'll move along on, and get somebody else in at that level. That there might be one or two from that side, but certainly not going to be wholesale loss of players. So it is a tweaking and improving situation at Accy, and that's what you need. I mean, John's life when I first started, it was a nightmare. We're getting playoffs against Stevenage, and all but 5 players had got other clubs to go to. And we were going into playoffs. There's no stability there, and not only no stability for club, there was no stability for player. Players they need to know that they can pay the mortgage next year as well. So it kind of works for everybody to do it right. I mean, we can't offer contracts that other clubs offer and take chances on people for too long, because if it don't work, we don't want to change the rooms full of people that are disenchanted and you can't then out with them. So it is a balancing act, and I don't think we're far off getting it where we want it to be. There will be loans, and there'll be more signings this season for sure.
Well, when you look at loan players, it's not common where you see a loan player come back 2 seasons in a row. But I know there's a lot of people out that are fans of Stanley that there's one player in particular they'd like to see come back on loan. But I mean, that's not always a sure thing that you can get somebody back again, is it?
No, and generally when clubs are loaning, Premier League club loans a player out to League Two, they're hoping that year after they'll go to League One, and they're hoping that year after they'll get experience in Championship, and so they tend to want to keep moving around for different experiences and getting a more rounded training. So you don't often get them 2 years in a row, but that's by no means certain. I mean, Paul Smith's been here a couple of times.
Yeah.
So they never say never, but people tend to want to get him a more varied experience. We won't get Nathan Baxter back, sadly, but he deserves his shot now at the big time. He's a great lad and a top goalie.
Yeah, he certainly proved himself, and like you said, that match against Ipswich and with Seamus being sent off and his injury was a turning point in my eyes. So, but I'm sure, and this is the confidence that I know as a fan that I have in the coaching staff, bringing in top quality to challenge with Toby, because Toby certainly got the talent, and but competition for positions it brings out the best in people.
I mean, Toby had a great start to the season. He obviously Nathan came in, and Nathan allowed most goalkeepers out in any league. And then he came back in. He had a couple of that I thought were a bit edgy matches. But goalkeepers make mistakes. No, that's what they do. They all make mistakes, and when they're younger, they make a few more, and when they're older, they make a few less. But they all make mistakes. Even goalkeepers at City and Liverpool and Man United make mistakes. And Toby's had a few mistakes, but he's 19, just gone 20. And what a great talent he is. There's no other 19, 20-year-old goalie in League One, I can tell you that for nothing. He's a great talent, and he's going to go a long way, we think.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the goalkeeping last season was definitely one of the strengths of the team, no matter who was in there. And I'm sure that John Coleman will be able to bring in whoever will be necessary next season, because that's one thing that John Coleman can always do is reload and rebuild a roster, and he showed that time and time again. Now, Tony, you have a few listener questions that have been sent in, don't you?
Yeah, I think we got 3 or 4 of them here that people have just asked if we'd pass them on to Andy. This is first one is from David Bradshaw, and his question is simple: roof on the away end.
Yeah, there'll be a roof on the away end one day, but I'd hope that the away end will be completely rebuilt. So I'm not going to put a roof over what we've got now, unless that's the end of the road, because any increase in capacity will be at that end. So it's a question of priorities, and we have a 5,400 capacity there or thereabouts. We don't fill it often enough. Without that away stand, we've got a 4,000 capacity. So if his average crowds were 4,000, then I'd have to be looking to get that stand finished. But we have a lot of covered seats that we can offer to our visitors that they can use now. So for the few matches it needs a roof, I can't justify it when we need so many other things at the same time. So it will come, but it's it's down the list behind the facilities, the changing rooms, and the training ground.
Yeah. This is from one of the founders of Across the Pitch, Aaron Ayres, from our Australian friend. He says, how do you keep your sense of humor on Twitter?
Well, I mean, it's difficult sometimes because I don't want to hide from difficult issues. I don't want to hide anything from supporters. I mean, I was with Peter and Jace and Josh last Saturday on a drawing the draw, and I tell them everything I can about the club that I'm. If I'm not legally obliged not to tell them, I'll generally tell them whatever I can. Some of it I tell them it's confidential, but I want to keep people informed about the job and how I'm thinking and why I'm thinking. And when I put something on Twitter, there's nearly always a reason behind it. It is frustrating because Twitter's, you're only allowed to put so many words on, and you can't really get everything in one box sometimes, and people can read it in many different ways. So it is difficult. It's a lot easier talking about it on here than it would be on Twitter, for example. But I want it to be open with fans because I believe I'm working on behalf of town and on behalf of fans. So I want them to know what I'm doing. It frustrates the life out of me, and sometimes I could throw it through the window. Let's put it this way: when I'm finished with Accrington, I'll be finished with Twitter.
Well, you treat Twitter the same as you treat you're operating in the club. You're transparent, and you're it's what you see is what you get. So I mean, nobody can fault you for that. But it's as I say, it is something that you got to keep your sense of humor, and you do it well. This is a question that came in from two fellows. One actually, John Gibo, who's in Seattle, Washington. And Don Kirkham is from Accrington, who's out in Saskatchewan, Canada. And they both want to ask the same question. Is there any chances of a North American tour?
I'd love that. I would love that. It'd be fantastic to get the guys out there one year. I mean, it's you never know. One day, if lads get the finger out and win League One, we might treat them to a little bit of a North American tour. Who knows? But I think lads deserve it. Let's put it that way.
And it wouldn't be as a have to go into a lot of different places. Because I think if you go in a couple of places, people in North America would come to you. So it's not like you would have to go all points of into the south and the north and everything like that. I think if you played in a couple of spots, I certainly would make
I'd be wherever it's at.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll put that on the back burners. Hopefully that will happen.
Don't spoil it. I was thinking of getting Sean McConville on Route 66 on a big bus, getting buying burgers when we beat somebody.
Oh yeah, yeah. That'd be something on Route 66 with Sean McConville outside the bus. Yeah,
Can you imagine us on there with a big bus?
No, I don't know if they. I think Phil, they'd be ready for that for the Accrington lads, wouldn't they?
We'd have to have outriders.
Yeah.
Although Route 66, I think you get a little quicker on the I-40 these days. Route 66 is kind of in the 1980s. They kind of bypass it. They've got some faster freeways now, so you can get around a little quicker.
We'd have to stop off at a couple of bars, though. Don't forget. To me and John just have a little chat over a pint.
Yeah, and would say, and generally, hopefully the bars have some decent ale, because I know last time you give Aaron and Phil a bit of a hard time about American beer, but it's so
well
some
deserved. Well deserved.
And one last question from Stephen Pye, who is a season ticket holder in hospitality, and he's just asking when the hospitality is up and running. would they be in the same seats, and would they be able to still see the match from where they were, like in the previous hospitality?
Well, everybody in hospitality or bars or anywhere will be able to seat match, so that the windows go from one end to the other. So they'll be able to seat match. Same seats. They've all been thrown in skip, so there'll be new seats. The positions of them, I have no doubt that they'll find a fantastic position. We really want the regulars that are here week in, week out supporting us, and we'd hope that a lot of these hospitality tables are took, on a more permanent basis, and we're going to build up a real family in there. That's what we're hoping, but it'll be different. The hospitality, it will be hospitality. They won't have normal fans going in there, taking the seats before end of match, and you can't get back to your table or anything like that. It'll be, we're hoping to make it a little bit better of an experience. We had a few people say, there ain't enough room at end of match, and certainly when winners' hours were on, you couldn't get through the door literally. So we're hoping now we've got a couple of areas to do. We can make that hospitality just a little bit better and really keep improving the experience. So I'm looking forward to seeing them again soon.
And I got to tell you, when I come over for 4 or 5 matches, and fingers crossed, touch wood, I could still do it this year. But I always like to do the hospitality because it's just such an experience, and we like to get to the ground early, have a look around, have a nice meal, a couple of pints, and it's just an overall great experience, and the price is right. So and it's the one time I can actually say I take my wife out for a meal, and I get to see a football match. So that's a win-win for me.
Yes, everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. Don't tell my wife. She'll. I don't want her thinking I'm not spoiling her.
Well, one thing I did want to mention real quick is Darren Woodhead, who's our other co-host. He wasn't able to make it today. He got held up at work. We all know how that can be. But he did want us to mention that he's interested in coming out to film some of the new developments at the ground for our website. So that was something he wanted us to pass along.
Perfect. Feel free. He knows he can, Darren. He just turn up whenever he wants.
Fantastic. When we talked about the upcoming season and some of the additions that's going to be made, and I've heard John Coleman talk about this, but I think we all agree that there's a legitimate chance for promotion either through the playoffs or fingers crossed through straight to finishing the top 2. Are you? You feel the same way, Andy?
I do, yeah, and obviously I prefer to finish in top 2, but I think there's a realistic chance of top 6, provided we keep the squad together and add a little and we get a normal season. I think there's a great chance. We should have been in top 6 last season for me, without a doubt. So I don't see why we can't do it next season. It's a tough league. I mean, we're up against some really big clubs, but we were last year. So I'm excited. Can't wait.
Would you take a playoff final at Wembley or straight promotion?
Yeah, straight promotion.
Yeah, because you can get to Wembley some other way, couldn't you?
Well, I mean, Wembley's Wembley. I'd like to go and I want to go, and it's one of his ambitions that I talked to John about. We'd love to get to Wembley. I'd rather have straight promotion and win the Checker Trade Trophy at Wembley. I think that's where I'd go. I don't want to
release your other blood pressure.
Well, I mean, end of season, hopefully we can go on holiday then, and I can catch up with a bit of holidays. So straight up and win Checker Trade final would be ideal, and get to semi-final at FA Cup. So I'm not ambitious.
No, but I'd love that too. So
that's what's brilliant about this club is just the never-ending ambition, and it's just amazing everything that's accomplished every year for a club Accrington's size to even be in League One, and then now to be looking at possibly another promotion. It just really speaks to everything that you and John are doing over there.
I mean, for me though, I'm my view. I mean, I've talked about this to fans, and I do want to win everything I play, no matter whether it's tiddlywinks or football or whatever it is. But as a realist, over the long run. I want to make Accrington so that it can get promoted and do well, and it can get relegated and do well. Because the next 40, 50 years, it'll get some promotions, some relegations, and go up and down and move about and have good times and bad times. So the financial model that we're developing as a club and the way we're operating club should be able to cope with all eventualities. So I take a longer view in terms of club, and I want to make it so that when next owners come along, they've got an easier job than I had.
Well, that's absolutely what I see that you're building, and what you speak to is that footballers will come and go. Even a manager like John Coleman will retire or move on at some point. What you're building in terms of sustainability, that's really what's going to be the long-term future of the team, is making sure that plan is followed. But another thing that I see as being very important, especially if the team were to earn that promotion to the championship, is kind of the whole reason that we started promoting Accrington on the show to begin with, is that as a show that started in the U.S. and, with Tony and I being in the U.S. and Canada respectively, and Darren based in Accrington, we feel like we have a good match where we can kind of promote the brand not only just to Accrington, but tell the story of Accrington to the world, because for a global audience, we just feel like there's so many potential fans out there that haven't maybe picked their team. And the story of Accrington is as good a story as there is out there. And I feel like the real potential for Accrington is to become an international brand, where it's one of those things where over here in Phoenix, and I'll see people walking around with a Manchester United shirt, and I just, it's kind of, I have a dream one day that I'll see everybody on the streets of Phoenix or Los Angeles or wherever it is, Toronto, with Tony wearing Accrington Stanley shirts. And if you could build to that point where Accrington does become that international brand, that's really a game changer in terms of income, of course. So I just want to know, how much do you look at that international potential? Is that something that you see as the future of the club needing to build on as an international brand?
Yeah, I mean, it's crucial to us. I mean, we're a known brand. We're not an international brand as such as yet, though it's growing like mad, thanks to people like you. And we have customers in the main one business in 75 countries, and all of them are aware of it, and they get shirts on the walls and they're doing things. And there's the work that people like yourself are doing with Peter Leatham and Darren, and I don't want to blow your trumpet, but it's a professional job. You saw what Peter did on the cards and what you did on the cards out there, and we can do a really professional job now, and people are doing a lot to help us build that brand in advance of us putting more effort into it. We want to do a lot more, and we want to develop it a lot more, and it's been kind of firefighting from day one at club, and it has held us back, and COVID set us back a bit. And fantastic that like yourselves and the guys in Australia and New Zealand and Africa and all over the world that are really helping us get that name out there. I couldn't be more grateful and more pleased at the work you're doing. It's fabulous, and it is crucial for us. We've got to get bigger awareness at home and abroad, and the possibilities abroad are bigger than the possibilities at home. Even if it's selling full of tickets and the like, but we want people to join in the story. We want people to know what we're about and join in this, where we're going. And you guys have done 200 and odd podcasts. A lot of them, we've had key people in over here. You've had Bumbling. You've had everybody on, and it's fantastic and really appreciated. I think we'll keep the story going, and I really appreciate what you're doing.
Well, we really appreciate everything in terms of the access that you've given us to the players, yourself obviously coming on the show, management staff, and like you mentioned, Peter's work on the trading cards has just been incredible. And I think one of the biggest things with the trading cards is, just in my day-to-day life, if I get into a conversation with someone on the street, I'll bring up Accrington Stanley, and it's one thing to kind of tell the story, but to be able to put that physical card in somebody's hand and have them see that, it's just that to me is going to be such a great aid in telling the story. And that's also the reason why we made these not to be just trading cards, but actually the story of the team is told on the back. Every card has a trivia question on it, so you really do learn not just who's playing for Accrington today, but the whole story of the team through the card set.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, Peter Leatham. He's a professional operator. He's Peter. He's worked at a good level in business, and he's no mugger when he does things, and he's worked with with Supporters Club and his work with yourselves. He puts his heart into it, and we're very lucky to have him working and doing things for our club. We and what Jace does in the with the ultras and in helping develop that side of the club. It's we're so fortunate as a club, and like I say, I take my hat off to them. It's they must have days like I have days. We all have days when we think, is it worth it, and why don't we do this and then you wake up day after and go to something incredible and do fantastic again. And I'm really proud of what we're doing as a club. I am immensely proud of everybody.
One thing I notice is that everybody seems to be singing from the same hymn sheet, about the club working together, coming from all walks of life and doing what we can to promote the club. And like you said, you can't say enough about Peter and Jason, all the other fellows that step up to the plate and do the extra bit, And I was when I was thinking about this, getting ready for the show, and I was surprised it's almost 6 years this October since you sort of took over as chairman, and I didn't think it was that long ago. And you come in on 6 years, and this is a question I always used to get asked in my performance reviews. Where do you see yourself in 5 years with regards to the club?
Well, I set myself a 10-year plan. I wanted to get the club finished and developed. In fact, when I first met the council, I said, look, I'm going to need your help. You need to support the club if we're going to put it right. And they said they would support, and the MPs and what have you. And it was a 10-year plan. I were 50 at the time, and I wanted to be done by 60, and I still do. By done, I mean, the club in a operating in a stable and proper manner. I'm not necessarily wanting to leave the club or do anything else, but I want to get it so that, if I want to go on holiday with my grandkids for a month, I can do. I don't want to get it so that every Saturday and Sunday morning coming back from Plymouth on a bus at 4 in the morning after half a bottle of wine or a bottle and a half sometimes. So, I do want to spend some time with my family. I put a lot of hours in at work, and I put a lot of hours in at Stanley, and so I won't necessarily want this journey to be over, but I want it to be at a point where I just don't need to spend any time with it. If I don't want to, it runs, it works, it operates well, and the good people that we've got are taking it forward, and I can just oversee it if I have to. If I ever got to a point where I thought I'd note to offer, where I were in the way, then I would talk to lads, Peter and Jason and management and everybody, and say, look, I don't feel I've got anything to give, and it's time to move on. I'm nowhere near that yet.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear, and as I say, I still hope, touch wood, I can get over this September for a few matches, and one day I'd like to buy you a beer, Andy, just because of what you've done, and just to have a chat. And so I have a couple locals in Great Hall that I go to that I'd love to buy you a pint of good ale. So keep that in your back pocket, just in case if you have a few free minutes when I'm over.
You're not going to get away with that now coming over without getting me a pint, that's for sure. It's in the back of my mind now. No, club, it's not what going back to club. Sorry about that. I don't want to be boring about club, but it ain't about me. I have led it and tried to get everybody to have the same vision. But now everybody's on the same vision. I didn't decide on the cards. with the players. And I didn't decide on the big screen. I didn't decide on, the people that are in there are deciding and doing and all working the same thing, building a great club as you are and everybody else is. So we all have a positive vision, and we all, I don't get involved in everything by any stretch.
Well, I think that I'd like to buy you a pint too, and I think where Tony's coming from, and where maybe a lot of people don't recognize this, but I just want to maybe take a minute to recognize the sacrifice that you make, because to be honest, I mean, I look at things as, if you were to spend all of the hours that you put into Accrington Stanley on your day-to-day business, maybe you would be further ahead in that business. But your love of the team and your love of the community is more important than that to you, and that's why you make that sacrifice and put all those hours into making Accrington Stanley something that's going to be sustainable beyond the years that you have it.
Well, I appreciate that, but you need to steady on now, because if you both buy me a pint, I'm going to buy you one back, and we're going to have a right good drink if we're not careful. Get ourselves in trouble.
I told my couple mates in Great Hollow that when I do make it over, I'm not going to rent a car for a couple of days, because I said all I'm going to need is a taxi, because I'm not going to be able to drive for the first 2 days because of all the people that I'm going to sit down and have a pint with, and rightly so, because it's part of my part of my life now, coming back for 2 months in September, October, and last year I missed it. And it will be really heartbreaking not to make it over this year, because it's not only for the football, it's just to come back to see where I was from and have a couple of pints and meet with my mates and everything. And Stanley's the icing on the cake, and the treatment that I get from the staff and everybody at the club for just little old me coming back to, it's just tremendous. And I think that's part of the part of what why they fall in love with the club, because everybody's treated like family.
Yeah, it is a proper club. It's a proper club whether I'm there or not. Whether they've got anything or whether they haven't got anything. For decades they've done best what they can, what they've got, and always been friendly. And it is a great club. There's no two ways about it. For me, it's best club in the league. Whether I'm there or not, and it's not the best because of me, it's best because of the community and how people hold it in their own hearts in that place. It's brilliant.
Well, I just want to say thanks, Andy, for doing this, because it's been a real treat for me, and I know the fans are going to enjoy listening to this. And as I say, hopefully I'll see you in September, and fingers crossed we'll be able to share a pint. But thanks again for what you've done for the club, and thanks for being part of our podcast. And I hope this episode makes it up to the top of the charts like the previous one did, Phil.
Well, if it doesn't, we'll make another pub in September.
well, Andy, like Tony said, we can't appreciate not only your time here on the podcast with us today, but everything that you're doing for Accrington Stanley. And like you said, it's a proper football club. And it's a proper football club from the top down, and in the transparent way that you run the club, as you've talked about on the show. All of the effort that you put into making sure that Accrington Stanley will not only be the club that wouldn't die, but the club that will never die.
Yeah, well, that'd be as good a reward I could get for the bit I put in and the bit we all put in, and that's what we're all here for. So
yeah,
no, fantastic.
Exactly. So, yeah. Cheers, Andy. Appreciate it.
And we always like to finish up with an on Stanley on. So I'm going to give 1, 2, 3. On Stanley on.
On Stanley on.
Cheers, Andy.
Take it easy, guys. Cheers. Look after yourselves.
Yeah, you too, mate.